Never been kissed. So I was talking with my friend John, and John said, "Oh, you going home? What you up to?" And I'm like, I gotta watch a movie for my Love-athon. He says, "What's the movie you're watching this time?" I said, "Never Been Kissed." And he was like, "Is that an autobiography?" And I said, "You dirty dog."
I said, "You dirty dog."
I said that. I slapped him right across the face. No, I didn't slap him. I'm not a violent person. I did, however, insult his mother. No, I didn't do that either. What am I saying? Never Been Kissed, starring Drew Barrymore, among others. John C. Reilly's in this as well. It's about a girl who works for the Chicago Sun-Times, and she's trying to do an investigational article. She infiltrates into a high school in order to get some scoop so she can write about it. And it also happens that this girl has never been kissed. She's been kissed apparently, she just never felt the emotion, the butterflies in the stomach, all that stuff. I've felt butterflies in my stomach before, but unfortunately that was just some Applebee's. It was not from a tingling kiss. But, okay, jokes aside, no more jokes. I gotta get to the review. This has to be a serious review. Never Been Kissed. So, this is, yet again, cheesy rom-com. We all like a good cheesy rom-com. And this is with former American sweetheart, Drew Barrymore. Drew Barrymore used to be, everyone used to love Drew Barrymore, and she kind of became a little, quote-unquote, crazy. Like, she started doing some weird stuff, and people kind of fell out of line with her. And I feel like that's undeserved. I think Drew Barrymore is a good actress. She does the job well. She's cute, she's adorable, she's quirky. This movie is... Listen, I knew what I was getting into. This movie's called Never Been Kissed. Never heard of this movie, besides one thing. I bought Fight Club on Blu-ray back when I was going through my initial film buff phase in my life in high school. I bought Fight Club on Blu-ray. I used to buy all my Blu-rays in America. There was this cool little shop where I used to go to in Portsmouth, New Hampshire, called Bull Moose. Had a bunch of used Blu-rays and stuff like that. So I bought the Fight Club Blu-ray, and when you pop the Blu-ray in and they show you the menu, they pull a little joke on you and they put the menu of Never Been Kissed. So you're like, wait, did I buy the wrong movie? And then, like, it glitches out and it becomes Fight Club. Which I thought it was a little clever thing. That was my only introduction to the movie before this Love-athon. This movie, it is what it is. If you like movies like Clueless and Mean Girls, this is basically the same kind of thing. Just not as memorable as the other two movies that I just mentioned. This movie plays out a lot like a 21 Jump Street, where you have an adult infiltrating into a high school, trying to fit in with the kids. However, while the 21 Jump Street movie had Channing Tatum, who was the jock, and Jonah Hill, who was the nerd, Drew Barrymore is just flat out the nerd in this movie. She's incompetent, awkward, and that's kind of what I liked about this movie. Usually when you have movies like Mean Girls, I'll compare it to Mean Girls, Lindsay Lohan's character is supposed to be a bit of a reject, but she's Lindsay Lohan. And if I went to high school with Lindsay Lohan, everyone would be drooling over her, okay? I don't buy her as like a reject type. But Drew Barrymore in this movie, not saying that Drew Barrymore is not a pretty woman. She is a pretty woman. But she does make herself ugly, her mannerisms, her makeup and stuff like that, her hair. She's not afraid to make herself look not pretty. Other than that, listen, I can't give too many positives with this film. It really didn't age well. Not just from like a film perspective, just like of a socially acceptable perspective. Listen, I don't get offended in movies. It takes a lot to offend me. I've watched all of Lars von Trier's filmography on a loop. It takes a lot to offend me. And I'm not saying I got offended by this movie, I just got taken out of the film. This girl is infiltrating a high school, and she starts dating a high schooler. She's 25, the kid's 17. Not only that, but she gets involved in a love triangle, and the third corner of that love triangle happens to be the teacher who thinks that she is a student. So you got Drew Barrymore pretending to be a student, hitting on a student, statutory rape, and you have the teacher hitting on Drew Barrymore thinking that she's a student, which is this movie, 2 instances of statutory rape. 2 of them. Now, one wasn't actually statutory rape, but the guy thought she was a student, so it still counts in my book, okay? Still counts in my book. I know in real life she was 25 in this movie. Doesn't matter. In my books, it's statutory rape. 21 Jump Street has that scene where the teacher's hitting on Channing Tatum, and it's kind of like done tongue-in-cheek kind of way. But in this movie, they kind of just ignore it and go like the serious route, which really takes me out of the movie. And like at the end of the movie, Drew Barrymore makes out with the teacher, and it all ends happily ever after. And I'm like, are we all gonna forget that this guy thought that she was a student and proceeded to hit on her? I don't know. I feel like that's a little weird in my opinion. But it was the 90s. It was a different time. Was it though? Was it though? It was the 90s. It was a different time. What else about this movie did I like? Wasn't really for me. It really reminded me of Clueless. If you like Clueless, I'm sure you'll like this kind of movie. I thought Drew Barrymore's character was a little too incompetent, to the fact that I'm like, how did you make it this far in society being that awkward? I did like John C. Reilly. I love John C. Reilly and everything. But yeah, this movie, mixed bag for me. I can see the guilty pleasureness of it though. I feel like a lot of these movies, when it comes to guilty pleasures, you kind of just have to like grow up with them, or remember a certain romance that is associated with the film. Maybe you watch this rom-com with a guy that you like, and you lament the fact that he left you, or some shit like that. All depending on the time and the situation. Listen, I remember where I was the first time I watched the movie Master of Disguise. That movie stoinked, but I still have fond memories of that movie. So it's a lot like that with these rom-coms. Unfortunately, I'm 23, slightly overweight, watched it alone in my basement, so I don't have that environmental factor playing into my love of this movie. But if you enjoy it, I'm happy you do. Gonna put this on the love meter. Gonna put it at about a 50% on the love meter. Yeah, stay tuned. More love movies coming up.